All right, let's just jump right into this. We're going to unpack a really strange but powerful pattern that you see pop up all through history. It's this idea that the biggest, most world-changing stories almost never start where you'd expect. Nope. They begin in the small, forgotten, overlooked places.
So let me just ask you a question right off the bat. Where does greatness actually begin? I mean, really think about it. Your mind probably jumps to the big places, right? The centers of power, wealth, and influence. But the story we're diving into today, it completely flips that whole idea on its head.
The world tells us to look for greatness in the capitals, in Rome, in Jerusalem, inside palaces and empires. That's the world's answer. But the story's answer? It points us somewhere else entirely. To a forgotten little town, a dirty feeding trough, and a poor teenage girl. It's a total reversal of everything we're taught to value.
And that right there brings us to the core of this whole thing, the Bethlehem Paradox. This entire story kicks off in a place that, let's be honest, nobody was paying attention to. We might have this quaint, charming Christmas card image in our heads, but the reality? It was more like a dusty, overlooked backwater that probably smelled a lot like sheep and disappointment.
Okay, so the source material for this explainer puts it, well, bluntly. It's a provocative quote for sure, but it gets right to the heart of the matter. The fact that the place seemed worthless isn't a bug in the story, it's the central feature. The fact that no one expected anything good to come from there is the entire point. So let's put a name on this. The Bethlehem Paradox is basically this divine pattern of kicking off the most important stories in the smallest, most unlikely spots you can imagine. It suggests that the very places the world is quick to dismiss are precisely where God decides to start something new. And this leads us to this really fascinating concept the source calls glory done backwards. It's this idea of divine irony, where the value system of heaven seems to be a complete 180-degree reversal of what we value down here on earth. Just let that phrase sink in for a second. He does glory backwards. It's such a simple but powerful way to capture this entire upside-down logic we're exploring. The divine playbook is the exact opposite of the one we'd write. And you can see this divine reversal in these incredible, poetic ways. It means hiding majesty inside of misery. It means placing salvation right in the middle of a scandal. It's wrapping up omnipotence, all the power in the universe, in the fragile weakness of a newborn. It's letting a love that's infinite cry out from a dirty animal manger. This is where the two ways of thinking really clash. See, our world, it runs on metrics like GDP, right? We rank places by their wealth, their output. But in this story, the key metric, the divine metric, it's not wealth. It's humility. And we tend to value what's clean, what's polished, and sanitized. But the divine choice in the story, it leans right into the mess, into the raw, the gritty, the beautifully unrefined. And while most of us are out here chasing comfort and predictability, this story intentionally sets its most important scene smack dab in the middle of total chaos. This amazing quote from Cardinal Toggle really just sums it all up, doesn't it? This whole glory done backwards thing isn't just some clever cosmic trick. It's an act of love, a love that isn't afraid to get its hands dirty and enter our messy, unready, complicated world.
Okay, so let's bring this into our lives right now. Because this is not just some ancient story. The whole paradox implies that God has, in a way, sanctified the very soil we despise. It's made holy the places and people that we overlook and write off today.
So where does this grace break in? Well, yeah, in forgotten villages like Bethlehem, but also in entire nations the world dismisses, in our own struggling communities, and, maybe most importantly, in those hidden, broken places inside of us. The grief, the failures, the parts of our stories we'd much rather hide.
The source makes this connection incredibly direct. The story repeats itself, you see, in our own personal Bethlehems, the addictions we fight, the resentments we can't let go of, the private struggles that make us feel so forgotten or worthless.
And this gives us a totally new way to respond to cynicism. When the world looks at a person or a place or a tough situation and just says, nothing good can come from there, the Bethlehem Paradox gives us this quiet, confident answer. You clearly haven't been to Bethlehem.
And this is where the whole thing just lands with so much power. Because in the end, this isn't really about a dusty town on a map. It's about identity. It's about how we see ourselves and how we see each other.
So, if you've ever felt like one of those forgotten places,
too small, too messy, too broken, then this message is aimed directly at you. The source puts it this way: He will never, ever call you a shithole.
No, he gives you a new name. He calls you Bethlehem.
And what does that even mean? It means, yeah, you might feel small, and maybe you feel unseen, but it also means you are chosen. It means you are holy ground. And most importantly, it means that right now, exactly as you are enough.
So we'll end with this question to just let it sit with you. Looking at your own life, your community, the world around you, what forgotten corner, in a place, in a person, or maybe even deep inside yourself, is just waiting to be called holy?